Chairman of the House Veterans Affairs Committee. And Congressman, you've been on the record as saying you want to wait till we get the report from the IG, but now it might not be until August. How could that be? How could it take that long?
Well, it's become a much more widespread problem than we first thought. Phoenix was actually just the very beginning, the tip of the iceberg, if you will. Of course, we've been looking at it in the House Committee on Veterans Affairs for almost a year, and basically been pleading with the VA leadership to do something about what was going on, and unfortunately, it has now erupted for them into a crisis situation.
And I certainly appreciate your work you've been doing, Congressman. I'm a wife of a veteran. You know, I know this is not easy to take on a bureaucracy the size of the VA, but in the meantime, you know, nothing is changing. No one is being held accountable, and from now until August, till we get this report, other people could die. Why is that acceptable?
I was going to say it's not acceptable, and I'm very hopeful that maybe the Office of Inspector General can get an interim report out so that we can at least begin the process. But look, if the Department of Veterans Affairs doesn't realize by now that they have a serious problem, and they're in fact going to wait, which is what the Secretary has said, they are woefully unprepared to be able to take care of the almost 10 million veterans that go to them for their health care.
So what needs to be done immediately, though, Congressman? What can we do within the next 24 to 48 hours to make the situation better?
Well, number one, you've got to remind most of the veterans out there are getting good quality care from their VA hospitals and clinics. But I'll tell you this. We have asked the President of the United States to get personally involved. They have now sent somebody over from the White House. Unfortunately, I think it's more crisis mode, spin control, if you will. You couldn't find somebody in 320 or 30,000 people within the VA to do the very same thing. But there are whistleblower after whistleblower now coming forward and sharing their stories, and these are the brave people now that are coming up against very, unfortunately, very strong-minded leadership, and they're saying, look, our veterans have not been treated right, and many of them have been waiting, and harm has been caused while they've been waiting.
I wonder what they're thinking now that they know still at this point that no one is being held accountable and no one is being fired. You've said that you do not want to see Secretary Shinseki go yet. But after hearing the testimony today, after hearing a little bit more about when we expect to hear from the IG, where do you stand on that today?
Well, I will tell you this. After watching the Secretary's absolutely poor performance in front of the Senate Veterans Affairs Committee, I know that one of two things are true. Either his people aren't preparing him correctly, or he is woefully ill-prepared to manage a bureaucracy that is 330,000 individuals strong. This is a crisis. We have been ringing the bell for years, as have the veteran service organizations out there. They have not been listening. And look, this is not a partisan issue. If you listen to Senator Patty Murray, she was just as hard on the Secretary as Republicans were.
Let's clean house. You know the situation better than most because you've been on the inside working and coming up against these obstacles about change not happening. So why? Why can't we just clean house, get rid of them all and start over?
Well, it would be nice if we could do that, but the President is the person that appointed Secretary Shinseki, and the people that work under the Secretary are at his disposal. I have a bill that would give him the ability to fire individuals within his senior executive level because it is so hard to fire people within the Department of Veterans Affairs or really any federal bureaucracy, but we're getting pushback and they keep saying, well, we've held people accountable. Look, we've had an issue in Georgia and South Carolina where we know for a fact veterans died because they were on a waiting list to get colonoscopies. There has been absolutely nobody that has been held accountable for what happened there, and to me, that was even criminal.
Well, it is a helpless feeling watching it from the outside. I'm sure it's a helpless feeling for you, and we're looking forward to some resolution. Congressman, it's great to have you on the program. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Well, another big story today, some big changes could be coming to the